everyone. My name is Adetola Akombiemu and we'll be taking our third lesson. The topic is the components of computer. In this course, we're going to look at the hardware, the software, and the peopleware. In the hardware, we look at how the computer works based on its physical components, its physical parts. We're going to look at the software, how the computer works based on written programs and instructions. And we'll also look at who the people were are, the people that input these instructions and enables the computer to work efficiently. I want you to take your time to watch this video. You're going to learn a lot from this video, and this lesson promises to be an interesting one. Thank you. Good day once again. My name is Adetola Akombiemu, and I'm taking our third lesson. The topic says the components of. Well, at the end of this lesson, there are certain things that I expect us to have learned. We must be able to explain the term, the components of computer, know the hardware components, the software components, and also know about the functions of components. Now, what are the components of computer? The components of computers are what makes up a computer system. And what makes up a computer system is the hardware and the software. Now, you see, a computer cannot perform its task without the use of both hardware and software. They both go hand in hand together. And the computer still needs the people that will input the instructions. We also call them the peopleware to make the computer perform. We talked about the computer comprising of the hardware components and the software components. So let's look at the hardware components of computers and their functions. Now, what is a hardware? A computer hardware is talking about the physical parts of a computer. That is the physical parts that we can touch, that we can see. That's a computer hardware. And it's also the electrical and mechanical parts of a computer system. Now, the basic components of computer hardware are the system units, the input devices, and the output device. Now, what are the system units? The system unit includes the motherboard, the CPU, the RAM, and other cases, there are some internal components that when you open a system, the system unit as a whole, you'll be able to see a lot of physical components there. So we'll pick the central processing unit, which is our CPU, and look at what it entails. Now, that is the brain of the computer system. That is where we have a lot of things happening. That is where we have processing of everything. It is the brain of the computer system. We need to take note of that. What it does is that it receives instruction from the hardware and the software that is installed in the computer. Then it executes everything that it's being told to do. It's made up of two units. The first one is the arithmetic and the logical unit. We have the arithmetic and the logical units, and we also have the control unit. Now, what the arithmetic and the logical unit does is that it performs arithmetic operations, such as calculations. You want to do your minors, your multiplications, as long as calculations that require two numbers, comparing two numbers to produce the result. That is what the arithmetic unit does. Now, what the logic um, the second one is our RAM. RAM is a random access memory. In our last lesson, we talked about RAM as a part of the storage. Is a RAM is a RAM stores data temporarily. RAM works with the system. That is like a system memory. Whatever it's doing now, is it works as long as the computer is on. Once the computer is turned off, the information stored in the RAM will be wiped out. Now, the motherboard. Now, if you've seen the motherboard is a flat board. I'm sorry, I would have put the image. It's a flat board that has different circuits. This circuit consists of things that that makes the computer work. For example, we have the circuit board, like I said, is a board. We have the data traffic, and then we also have the BIOS. Now, what is our computer circuit board? Our computer circuit board allows data to be passed through different parts of the computer system called buses. We also have um, the board traffic, the data traffic. The data traffic is like a communication hub for all the computer components attached to it. So any information that comes to the computer the data traffic manages it. And that's why you see that the computer can do a lot of calculation, lots of tasks at the same time. The third part of the motherboard is the BIOS, which is the basic input system. What it does is it controls the booting process of the computer. When you want to turn on your computer, when you want to turn it off, what the BIOS does is, now let's look at our input devices. Input devices are actually used in entering data and information and instructions into the computer system, and they are the only way which users can communicate, can control, and can command the computer system. When you want to tell the computer to do something, you need an input device. And examples of input devices that we have are the computer keyboard, the mouse, the joystick, the digital or graphics tablets that make use of a stylus pen. We have the optical character reader, we have the magnetic ink character reader, and we have, now let's pick them one after the other. You see, a computer keyboard is like a conventional typewriter keyboard, though it has more keys than the typewriter keyboard. What it does is it enables you to freely send information or data into the keyboard. Now, when you want to use the keyboard to input your data, make sure you rest your fingers on the keys, the QWERTY keys, QWERTY, the QWERTY keys. And then you make sure that your thumb is on the space bar, while the index finger on the F, your left hand, while your right hand is on the J, and the rest of your fingers on top of the next key along the same horizontal line. You see, our keyboard is divided into four parts. We have the function keys. If you look at the top row of your keyboard, you will see F1, F2 to F12. Those are your function keys, and they can be used in program usually as shortcut keys in performing frequent tasks. As we go on in other lessons, we talk about our shortcut keys that we can perform with the use of the keyboard. Other keys are the alphanumeric keys. We have some keys on the keyboard that contains both numbers and both alphabets on the keypad. Numeric keys are the keys that we see at the right hand part of our computer. When you look at the right hand part of the computer, you see some figures 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 9, and it's divided into 5 rows. We have the ones that contains their signs at the top, base, middle, and bottom. We also have the cursor control keys. You see, the cursor control keys are the ones that indicate to where we point to in any document. When you see keys like home, end, control, alternate, escape, and usually cursor control keys, you don't usually use them alone. You usually use them in addition to other keys in the keyboard for them to work. For example, control. You cannot just press the control key and expect it to work on its own. But you can press Control A, it will highlight a document. Control C, it will copy. Control V, it will paste, and so on. Now, let's look at our other input device. We have a mouse. A mouse is a pointer like this. This is a mouse. This is a mouse. I can let me so you can see, this is a mouse shaking. It's a pointer in the computer screen. We use it mainly for navigating or moving around the computer screen. We also have a joystick. A lot of time this joystick is used for video games. A lot of people that play video games, you'll be familiar with this object, that this image that I put on the on this. We also have our magnetic ink character reader. We have our barcode. Now, you say barcode, then you look at, if you can pick any items, when you open the back or when you go to supermarkets, you notice that these lines are there with some numbers. What this thing means is that it is an embedded information. When you scan it, even with your phone, you can download the barcode reader. When you scan this barcode that is on this image right now, it's going to direct you to an information. So barcode represents data, embeds data, and when you scan it, it brings out the information. Also go to scanner. Scanner can also help us copy images, and the computer will images. So let's go to our output devices. What our output devices do is that they help us in getting our processed information and data to be able to deliver to our users. What examples are the printers? When you get your printer will make copies of the information that you have typed. The monitor will display the images and the text on the screen. Speakers will produce the sound and make the music sweet and audible to the users. Earphones are personal for you to listen to music when you don't want every other person to hear what you're listening to. The GPS, it makes use of satellite, improvising information concerning where a person is in terms of location, time, and space. We have a projector. A lot of people use projector, even in churches, where in mosque, everywhere projector is being used in seminar halls and in lecture rooms to project what is project images or presentations to a large number of people. We also have a braille reader. A braille reader is really used for the blind people. It makes the blind people read information. So they connect it to a computer. When the blind person is making use of it, is able to read the resources displayed on a computer. Now let's go to our software. Remember that in the beginning of this lesson, we talked about a computer having hardware and software. So let's go to our software component. Now, software is the engine. We said that the hardware is the brain, but the software is the engine that drives the computer system because there is an instruction that is being written. It is that instruction that directs the computer or instructs the computer on what to do. Computer software is a series of programs. There are programs that are written. Programs can be written in different forms, C programs, CC programs, there are different programs, Java and all of that. When these programs are written, it is now packaged into a software that's been installed in the computer system and told the and now tells the computer what to do. We have system software, we have utility software, and we have software. Now, the system software is the operating system. That is the basic system. That is the basic software that any computer needs because that is what works with the hardware computer to make it function as a unit. Every communication that goes on in the computer, it works with the system software. We have Windows. Windows is the most common operating system, and Windows allow one or more applications to run at a time. The reason why a lot of people use Windows is because the kind of application program you can install on Windows is more. People also make use of Apple. Apple is also an operating system, which is also user friendly. But you see, Unix, MS-DOS, Linux, they are not friendly. The kind of applications that can run on such operating system are not applications that are user friendly, that or common to the user. It's usually people that are programmers that make use of such. Now let's go to application software. Application software allows you to carry a particular task, a specific task within a computer system. And like I said earlier, for you to make use of your application software, you must have had your Windows installed on your system. We have different application software. We have application software that can process Word documents, like our Microsoft Word. We have the ones that can process calculations, like our MS Excel. We have the ones that can process database. You want to have a database of records. We have Oracle, we have Microsoft Access. We also have for games, we have for community. So utility software. Utility software of a computer system, there are packages that helps in diagnosing computer problems. That the ones that help to detect, is there a virus? Why is my computer slow? Why is my computer hanging? What's wrong with my computer? That is what utility software does. And we have various antivirus tools. We have AVG, we have Avast, we have Kaspersky, we have lots of it. Another thing that the utility software does is that in the case of in case where you lose data, it can help you recover your data. It can help you compress your file size. It can also check if your computer is performing well. If it's not performing well, what might be the problem? If there is an external threat, it notifies you that hey, there's an external threat. That is what the utility software does. Now, finally, our computer people well. Remember that in the beginning, we said that the hardware and the software will not work until there are people that input these instructions. We call them the people where the computer cannot work on its own without the help of people either manipulating or feeding it with information. And that's why we call them the people where. Now, who are the people where? We have our media or system librarian who works in the library. We have the computer operator. We have the system analyst, we have the data control officer, we have the programmer, we have the system programmer, and we have the application programmer. Now, We're going to take our class activity. I want to ask you, have you mastered the skills of using the mouse, the printer, and keyboard in performing some tasks? If you have not, you need to go back. Bear in mind that your exams are going to be electronic, and therefore, as a LIS 10 student, 7107 student, it's expected that you can make use of all these things to give you a foundational knowledge and to make your hands on practical strong. So it's important that you have a laptop, you have a computer, maybe in your place of work, maybe a personal laptop or a personal computer. Make sure you take out time to master the skills of using the mouse, the printer, the keyboard in performing lots of tasks. It's very, very interesting. Now, in summary, remember, as a librarian, you need to understand that the input and the output devices of a computer system is important for you, because that's what you will use to provide information to access and to disseminate to users. So we have come to the end of today's lesson. So in today's lesson, what have we learned? We looked at the components of the computer hardware as system units, input and output, and we said that the system units are made up of the motherboard, the CPU, the RAM. We said the input devices are the keyboard, the mouse, the joystick, and other. We also said the computer output devices are printers, monitors, speakers, and so on. Finally, we said that the software is the engine that drives the computer system, and we need people to make all of these things work, to make our computer function properly. So we have come to the end of today's. Thank you for listening. Thank you for taking out time to listen. Have a wonderful day and goodbye.